Hey everybody, welcome to the Standing for Reason podcast with Mike and Alex, where we are not for the faint of thought. I screwed up last week. I started the news by saying it's been a slow week.
Yeah, between now and then, it was a landslide of shit. So
Starting with Michael Flynn's resignation, like 10 minutes after we wrapped?
yeah, as soon as we got off, I pretty much checked my news feed and I saw it there. It was like, what the hell, man? He couldn't have resigned 20 minutes earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
Yeah. So we got a couple things to start off with today on the Standing for Reason. First thing we're starting with is an article that was saying how Democrats are calling on Bernie Sanders to settle other Democrats down, pretty much. The article is basically saying how, because February is typically the time during the congressional recess where these guys go home and they hold town halls. I know over here, Jeff Denham, our representative, is under a lot of fire because he's holding town halls that are basically just with his staff. His staff is not answering questions. So people are basically going there and getting no answers, and they're pissed off. Those same people are actually going to Democrats' town halls and pushing progressive agendas and asking progressive questions. So
our answer is shut the fuck up, right? To the Democrats.
To the Democrats.
Yeah,
much.
Shut the fuck up. You guys should have let this fire spread when you had the damn chance. Now, if they're seriously going to be sitting there making sure the flames don't get any higher, put them on notice, as Trump would say.
Yeah, so Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia basically said, they basically explained to Bernie, it looks like you could be the person that could calm down and make sure their energy and all this enthusiasm is directed in the right, proper channels. Bernie has a voice, and if protesters want to be active, then direct them to where the problem may be and where they anticipate a problem. I think that's what's going on. The people are realizing we're not going to win with these fake Democrats who take just as much money as the Republicans and roll over when it gets tough.
Yeah, and that's what they seem to be doing. I mean, I agree with part of their statement. One of the issues with stuff like this is, and it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, is Sanders, stirred up all these grassroots groups across the country, and the problem is when they don't work together, you have too many leaders. And so I'm totally for Bernie Sanders coming out. He started all this, coming out and telling everybody where they should be focusing their attention and trying to guide it. But if in any way that means calm them down, oh no, fuck you. No, this. We got all this because it was Hillary Clinton's turn, apparently, but everybody knew except for everybody that didn't vote for her. And that's why we're in this fucking mess, so screw them. I have a feeling this is going to be one of my high fuck per capita episode. I don't know why. I'm angry today. I'm so angry. It hasn't even been a month yet. What is today's the 17th? Hasn't even been a month yet.
Yeah, we're pushing it, and just a quick one article that I was reading said Senator Claire McCaskill from Missouri, she's worried about being primaried by what she calls the Tea Party, kind of the left, and she says that in a derogatory term, but really, I mean, obviously. I hate the Tea Party as much as the next progressive, but what they were able to do and get done in terms of getting their people elected into Congress was, I mean, that's a great kind of roadmap for what the left needs to do. Get people that stick to their guns and stick to their principles and get them in there. So,
yep.
So we'll see in the coming months. And like I said, this February is usually the town hall month. So we'll see how many attend and how many.
And they're getting hammered all over the country. I mean, especially Jason Chaffetz.
Yeah, exactly.
Utah. So let's get to the news that we wish we could have gotten to last week.
Yeah. So National Security Advisor Michael Flynn has resigned due to allegations of illegal conversations with the Russian ambassador.
That's what we think. The official word from Spicy and Trump and Conway's stupid ass is that what he did was part of his job. So basically, he was talking with Russian diplomats and Russian intelligence in the month of December of last year, 2016. And Trump and Spicy both say, he was doing his job. This is what he should be doing. And there's nothing wrong with him, going straight to work after winning the election, but before the inauguration, which, yeah, sure, that sounds fine.
No, it's actually against the law.
Yeah, that's my point. It sounds okay, but that's not my biggest problem with it. Here's my biggest problem. They're saying he resigned because he neglected to tell Mike Pence about this, and then Mike Pence went on Face the Nation and other shows and said that Flynn had not communicated with Russia, and then it turns out that he did. Here's my problem with it, and the law that you're bringing up, I've read it, but Trump and Spicer and the rest of his administration will not admit to it. They consistently say that he was doing his job. Anyway, my problem is this: Trump found out on the 26th. So he was inaugurated on January 20th. So 6 days into his official presidency, he finds out about this. Nothing is done at all. Spicer said that they were investigating, but there's no record of it. But nothing's done, and that investigation went on for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then the Washington Post, who is like turning into one of my favorite press outlets, Washington Post is just on point with everything lately. The Washington Post leaks or basically publishes the story of Flynn, and then all of a sudden 48 hours later, we get his resignation. What bothers me is I think there's more to this. I think Trump was letting this slide, and I think there's more to it than that, because they call him Teflon Don for a reason. Nothing hurt him during the primaries, and it seems like everything's hurting him now. But nothing hurt him during the primaries. Nothing hurt him during the general election. We all thought grab him by the pussy was going to end this entire thing, and it did not. It didn't do anything to him. However, that makes me think that something really big had to be going on, because what if Trump came out and did what they're doing, said there's nothing wrong with him hitting the ground running before Inauguration Day, and making up a different problem, or just denying the whole thing like he does with everything else? Why didn't he do that?
I mean,
is that not like out of character of him though? Because it's now on his record that his one of his cabinet members is the shortest serving cabinet member in presidential history of 24 days. That's not something Mr. Ego wants on his record.
No, I mean, I agree, but I think what we have here and what it looks like is we have the intelligence community coming out and leaking this information behind the White House's back to force the issue.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, if that wouldn't have happened, would Trump have just swept it under the rug?
I think he did until some dust came out. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So, I mean, kudos, I guess, to the intelligence agency, but it's really a bad situation where they're leaking information about the White House, because that's the only way we're going to get it. Mm-hmm. So
we'll get into more leaks and all that in a minute. But hey, can you go back to Carl's Jr. now? Or are you still going to boycott?
I'm going to have to wait and see. He might be the CEO. He'll probably get his job back.
I'm sure he will.
So
Andy,
I did go to
Andrew
Carl's Jr.
Puzder,
one
right?
time. Yeah.
Puzder. The Puzz. Mr.
Puzz.
Mr. Puzder also resigned this week. It just, ever since Inauguration Day, that seems to be the one thing that's starting to hurt Trump. Things that are coming out are affecting him. which is good. So we had Flynn's resignation, and then we had Puzder pull out. Oh, not to mention, I forget the guy's name, but the guy that he was trying to replace Flynn with.
Oh yeah, Vice Admiral Robert Harward. He, after watching Trump's press conference, which we'll get to in just a second, but after watching that, he said, "I'm out."
He like Shark Tank. I'm out. Fuck this.
Fuck this.
I ain't touching that with a 10-foot pole with a condom on it. I ain't doing it. So Puzder was basically he dropped out for two reasons. One, he hired an illegal I keep using that word, I don't like it, an undocumented citizen as a maid at his house. So there's that, and that's very, very un-Republican of him. And then Oprah released a tape from Puzder's wife regarding domestic violence, and that pushed him over the edge. So thank you, Oprah. I've never said that before. I'm not a huge fan of Oprah's, but this was good.
Yeah, I mean it's good for labor that he's not in charge, but that's the scandals really don't in there. I guess unfortunately, and really when you think about Obama's 8 years of pretty much scandal free, and you think about this first month,
except for this whole Sharia law thing and trying to take our guns,
he's still working on that.
It's still gonna happen, huh?
But another disgrace on the Trump legacy is 6 White House staffers were dismissed for failing background checks.
I thought he knew the best people. Was he lying?
Well, one of them, the director of scheduling, she was the daughter of Trump's Florida campaign manager. So, I mean, it's qualified people based on how much money they've given.
To his credit, he never said what his people were best at. And that's not just a cheap joke or jab at Trump. I mean, that really is true in the sense that he never really did say what any of these people were good at. He's not boasting their qualifications. Rick Perry. I don't think being able to, I don't even know a dance move. Tap dance, do-si-do. I don't think that's gonna work too well with our guy that's looking over nuclear energy. So getting to Trump's press conference.
Yeah, speaking of nuclear energy, how about that part where he talks about, I've gone through all these briefings and they're high-class briefings.
And I can tell you.
Stuff that I can tell you is nuclear holocaust is bad.
It's the worst, folks. It's the absolute worst.
It's like, Jesus Christ. I mean,
I got to tell you, though, when he started saying that, one of the things that I'm waiting for is Trump to actually release something from the intelligence briefings, which he's never going to do because he doesn't pay attention in there anyway. But when he said this, he said, I think he said the word probably. He said the way he started to introduce that point, my eyebrows went up and I was like, oh my God, here it comes. He's going to fucking release some shit that he should not say. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It sounds like they gave it to him in a children's book.
It's true.
It sounds like that. Here's your Dr. Seuss briefing. We have edited the text so you get the information and get to have a little rhyming fun, Mr. Trump. Oh, great. Thank you.
Nuclear holocaust would be like no other.
Yeah, no other.
That's his quote. It's like, no shit, man.
There was another. Speaking of Dr. Seuss, there was another thing. When he had his joint press conference, we're going to sidetrack a little bit, but when he had his joint press conference this week with Netanyahu, took no questions from anybody that he knew was going to throw him a hardball. But the hardball question that he got was, "What do you think about the two-state solution?" This man has no clue what the hell that means, because what I first thought of, his response was, "One state, two state, whatever all parties agree with, I'm good with." And I'm like, one state, two state, Palestine or Jew state, BB has a star, which is one of the stanzas out of Dr. Seuss' Red Fish, Blue Fish. That's exactly what I thought of, and it sounded like Dr. Seuss. Anyway, back to this other press conference. So, as you pointed out, his replacement for Michael Flynn dropped out.
I think it was 77 minutes of just rambling. It was, I mean,
let's address the number one thing about fake news last. But a few points that I have on this is, number one, he talked about fake news, and I want to have a discussion about the oxymoron of fake news and leaks and how we can't have both of them. But we'll get to that in a minute. But speaking of fake news, Michael Flynn's son was the one that caused the armed guy to walk inside of that pizzeria in D.C. because Hillary Clinton was running a human sex trafficking ring in the basement.
Child
Make it even worse. So, I mean, this is coming from Michael Flynn's son. And you know, this was a few months ago. But other than that, Trump kept talking about Hillary as if the election is still happening. Do you guys really? Does anybody for a minute think that Hillary Clinton would be tougher on Russia than me? I mean, come on, folks. Like, why are you talking about Hillary Clinton?
I mean, it's just the easy dodge, right? It's just like, oh, compare me to her. How about my inauguration numbers? Did you see? Did you see them?
Oh, I was so happy. That was ABC, I think, that ABC correspondent that pointed that out to him. And here's the scary part. Trump never gives you sources. Ever. I am yet to hear this man use a source. So Trump says, I got, everybody said 222, or the way he enunciated was 222. I was never going to get there. 230 was impossible, and 270 was laughable. I got 306, folks. It is the largest win in U.S. history since Reagan. And then the ABC correspondent stood up and said, actually, President Obama got 365 against John McCain. And he's like, oh, well, this is what I was told. I was given this information.
No, before that he said, I meant the largest Republican victory.
Yes.
And then the same guy again said, well, actually, George H.W. Bush got 402 or something.
No, George W. in 2004 got more than him, too. Which is surprising, but it was wartime, I guess. But, I mean, the thing is he said... He didn't say he had like an apologetic tone to his voice.
Yeah, this is information given to me. That's just like, that's
where are your sources? How are you not Googling these things?
That's what Breitbart said.
Breitbart told me. Oh my God, and Breitbart's probably telling him about the 3 to 5 million election fraud. I'm sure. Actually, no, it's that one guy that has a blog. Some fucking lowlife with a blog. He's listening to.
He knows.
Honestly, that's like him listening to us. Is what that is. That's like him picking somebody nobody's ever heard of, no credentials, none of that shit. Has never worked in politics before, and then he just takes it and runs with it, and his people believe this shit. But let's get to the funny to talk about but horrifying to think about comment that he made to I forget her name, the black reporter that has been in the White House for like 20 years as a White House correspondent, when she asked him what he was going to do about the Congressional Black Caucus and if he was going to meet with them. His response was, do you know them? Can you call them? Set up the meeting. Meeting. I would love to. Set up the meeting. Do you know these people? What?
And the first, I mean, obviously he doesn't, because she said, are you going to include the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus?
Yeah.
And he said, am I going to include who?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Who the hell's that?
Yeah, it was like my cousin Vinny. The what? Mr. Gambini. The what? How out of touch can you possibly be? I mean, this guy still thought Frederick fucking Douglass was alive.
Oh, man.
I hear he's doing great things. But, all right, so let's get to it. He said over and over again, and he was questioned as well as to on this fact, or on this statement that he made. But he said that the leaks are real, the news is fake. So now, yes, he called everybody in there fake news. He called them the opposition. I mean, this fucking guy. He even tweeted the following day. Trump tweets the fake news media, and in parentheses, failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, and CNN is not my enemy. It is the enemy of the American people. This is some scary fucking shit. But he says that the leaks are real, but the news is fake. And he's talking specifically about the leaked stories that are coming out. Him wandering around in his fucking bathrobe, sitting around watching cable news all the time, not knowing where the fuck he's going. All of those things that are coming out, the stuff about Michael Flynn, all of it. He's saying the news is fake, but they really have leaks. That makes zero sense, right? Him, Spicer, and Conway, none of them said rumors. None of them said they were rumors at all. So if they're fake, how can they be fucking leaks?
I mean, I saw a meme that is a good example of the situation, and it was when we were talking during the general election, and the DNC hacks were coming out, and they were saying, "Oh, it's Russia," and he would say, "Oh, who knows if it's Russia? What's important is the information that we're getting. It doesn't matter who the leaks are coming from. What's important is we got the story."
And
right
as if
here.
he doesn't know it's fucking Russia, he asked Russia to do the fucking hack. Did everybody forget that shit?
But now, and in 2017, when the leaks are coming on his administration, he's saying, "Oh no, it's the story doesn't matter. That's all fake. What we need to do is get to the bottom of who the leaks are coming from," and it's obviously the complete opposite. And
back to Jason Chaffetz, that's what he wants to use his oversight committee chairman seat to investigate. He wants to investigate the leaks, not the substance. This is the most treasonous act that we have seen. And actually, I can't even think of an act of treason this far. I mean, everybody called Richard Nixon treasonous for basically doing some fucked up shit in Watergate to the other party. This has never happened before. We have never had to worry about anyone conspiring with anybody on this level, not only to hack the election, but to actually put the whole America first bullshit behind Russia or any other country for that matter. And another one of his tweets is that the Democrats are making up the whole the entire conspiracy with Russia to explain Hillary Clinton's terrible campaign and to basically direct attention away from it. It doesn't. This makes no fucking sense. I don't understand how anybody can look at this fucking guy. And I used to say this about George Bush. I had no idea how much worse it could get. But I don't understand how anybody can look at this guy or listen to him say certain things. Like, BBC gave it right back to him. At the same press conference, a BBC correspondent stood up and Trump cut him off as he was. He was, sit down. I know the rest of your question. Sit down. Like they're fucking animals. And some of them are, but still, you don't treat the press like that. But he stands up, he cuts him off, and he says, "Who are you with?" He says, "BBC," as if you couldn't fucking tell from his British accent and the fact that he was sitting in the front fucking row. So he says, "BBC." Trump says, "Oh, more fake news. You should be with CNN." And the guy, just without missing a fucking beat, says, "That's this very impartial, professional, and presidential of you." And then Trump said something back, and then he said something back, and then Trump said something again, and he's like, "I can sit here and banter with you all day, or I can just ask my question." I mean, Trump just... How does anybody watch this shit? And he's up there saying that it's fun. He's having fun doing this.
And the media is going to say that he's ranting and raving, but, he's talking to the people. And the media are dishonest. That's what we got.
All right, moving on to
Not to
Something
scary.
else Trump did.
Into scarier news here. So members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, which is actually the reason that the reporter brought up the Black Caucus. So the Congressional Black Caucus requested a meeting with Thomas Homan, I guess, the acting director of
The
ICE.
abominable Ho Man. That's awesome.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is what ICE stands for. So they requested this meeting. I think a couple weeks ago, it got canceled at the last minute, and then on Thursday, it was quickly rescheduled by the Republican chairman. Every single member of the Hispanic caucus was basically asked to leave the meeting. So, I mean, I think this is unprecedented. Basically, these joint meetings always have Democrats and Republicans. Both sides are allowed to ask questions. And this one, they were excluded from the meeting. So,
unprecedented seems to be a very popular word this year and last year.
We're just getting started.
Well, he's definitely equal opportunity, right? None for anybody except for straight white males. Yeah. This is one of those things where I don't really have anything to say because it was so expected. I mean, honestly.
It's one thing to bring them in and not answer their questions or, something like that. But to ask them to leave, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. But again, Jorge Ramos. I know it's a member of the press, but I mean, it's
yeah,
the
but
same principle.
these are elected officials, and one of them said, like each one of us represents roughly 750,000 voices
who didn't fucking vote, obviously. In my opinion.
No, these are the Hispanic congressmen, right? So they're saying each one of them. I mean, that's basically how much a district is broken down to. So these people, Democrats for the most, I don't think there's any Hispanic Republicans. These Democrats won their seat.
Yeah. Do Cubans qualify as or count as Hispanics?
Yeah.
So you got Rubio and fuckface.
Well, yeah, but I guarantee you those guys do not sit with the Hispanic caucus. I guarantee you.
Sure. Yeah. Again, it's really not surprising, but there's just too much going on. But so we're coming up at the end of the episode here. So this week's action item is regarding Trump's tax returns. So apparently, I didn't know this. Apparently, there is a way that we can force Trump to release his tax returns. Democratic Representative Bill Parcell from New Jersey's 9th District, he wants to use a bill that was, or a law from 1924 that allows Congress to privately examine anyone's tax returns for conflicts of interest. So there is a law in the books for that. He's currently seeking the last 10 years of tax returns for Donald Trump, and he wants to have them reviewed. I've never heard of this board before, but the House Ways and Means Committee?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It doesn't sound, I don't know, it doesn't sound familiar.
The Ways and Means, I think they pretty much, it's like they make sure that they can afford everything, and it's a budget-based kind of committee, I think.
So basically, he wants to get this through. That way, we can get that committee can look at it, and the way these can become public is after this committee is done reviewing it privately, they can choose whether or not to send it to the congressional floor. Once they send it to the congressional floor or the House of Representatives, then it will be public for everybody. And we have 23 Republicans that are blocking our access. So I'm not going to read through all 23 Republicans. I'm going to post it on the Age of Reason page. But basically, the link that I'm going to post is going to have the state that they represent, their name, and their office phone number to call them, because that does seem to be working. Making phone calls to your elected officials or to the White House, it seems to be doing something. So we should keep up with this. We should keep up being as loud and as annoying as possible. And making with Jason Chaffetz, when we were calling basically over Kellyanne Conway and her trying to get, or not trying, but giving an endorsement for Ivanka Trump, his White House his office answering machine got filled. That's progress. That's good. Let's blow these motherfuckers up over the phone. So look for that on the Facebook page, the Age of Reason Facebook page. So we will be back next week with AOR News. We're going to do it in the middle of the week just because this one's getting a late start. So we'll probably record that one on Wednesday just to give you guys a heads up. So in the meantime, follow us at AOR_podcast on Twitter, the Age of Reason podcast page on Facebook, and for everything else, AORpodcast.com. This has been Mike and Alex with AOR News / Standing for Reason podcast, where we are not for the faint of thought. We will see you guys next week.